Salam alaikum, my friends. We are at a point where we are going to be having a conversation with a wonderful human from the UAE, our friend Adel. Adel is a mental health advocate who is on, he's on a path of trying to deal with some schizophrenic episodes, something that he's been dealing with since a very young age. He has an incredible story, and we were just so excited to have a chat with him about all the work he's been doing on his path to finding that healing mentality with something that he's struggled with for years. It's a fascinating conversation from a cultural standpoint. So I think you're really going to enjoy this. After the conversation, we actually sit down, the three of us, and we have a conversation about fetus and F2, which is something we've covered before, but it's one of the more interesting cases that we heard about. If you're not familiar with fetus and F2, think parasitic twin, and maybe they'll give you enough kind of info to go on. So Adel, we love you. You're the fucking man, dude, and we're so happy that we had a chance to meet you and talk to you. And I hope you all enjoy this as much as we did. So without further ado, here's a chat with our new friend, Adel. Well, I'm so excited to sit down with you, Adel. Brian told me that I should start this off by saying salam alaikum.
Yes, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hey, all right, let's fucking go.
Peace, which is peace be to you or upon you or with you.
And also to you. That's what we would say back here. Peace be with you, and you'd say, and also to you. Yeah. It's so nice to have you here. And I'm really excited for this conversation, especially because, so just to give you a little bit context, Adel, we try to talk about mental health pretty regularly on this show. And we've been doing it for, 9 years. And this is the first time we've actually gotten to speak to someone from the UAE who is very familiar with mental health related issues. And the reason why that excites me is because speaking to people about mental health and mental illness here in Canada, or speaking to someone from the US, we know what to expect when it comes to the way that they view mental health based on our culture, because we share that culture. And so whenever we have an opportunity to speak to someone about this topic who's not from here, I just find it so insightful to just hear how a culture completely different to ours approaches an issue that is universal to all humans. So I guess before we get into all of that, just take a second to introduce yourself to the three of us. I mean, tell us a little bit about you. I know that you're on a bitchin' gaming laptop right now, with a camera that's following you around. I was helping you set up earlier. I saw a bunch of devices that were connected to your computer, like you had some Oculus shit going on. Are you a gamer? Are you big? Your gaming headset is top tier. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, first of all, and then talking about gaming, that why I love gaming is it was my escape reality.
Yes.
Back then, when I did not know or I was not aware that I had a mental issue or mental challenges, illness back then. So it was only the way that I would connect online with players, like MMORPG games, and like World of Warcraft.
Okay. I was gonna say, what's your flavor? What are we talking about? What kind of MMORPG?
I played WoW. I played WoW as well. So
Brian played a lot of WoW.
A lot of WoW.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit hesitant. Should I say it or should I don't say it?
No, dude, say it.
Yeah. All right. So I used to play that, and then I moved to another game similar to that genre, and I enjoyed playing. I enjoyed playing video games in that way, which is actually connects me to other people not from here. And most of my friends, online friends, were from US.
Right.
Yeah. So I learned that, and I learned the way of how people think different than us. So I was exposed in that way.
I love that. That's so cool. So I mean, let's get right into it. You were saying that video games were something that it was your form of escape, and this was at a time prior to understanding that you were struggling with your mental health.
Yes.
When you say struggling with mental health, what is the struggle that you have found? What is what did you kind of come to realize that you are dealing with when it comes to your mental health?
Okay, the realization to me did not come in that time specifically when I was playing video games or what. It came actually when I was divorced. When I went through a divorce, I started doubting myself, started doubting so many things that I used to do or I'm already comfortable of doing. Meaning I was very comfortable with myself having my own voices. Having the thoughts that I can hear it from outside. So I thought everybody is like me. And I grew up with that when I was like, not even teenager, before. Like, I can't remember exactly when I heard the very first time the voice outside of my head. And when every single time I would hear it, I would run to my father. I would say, like, I hear people talking, but there was nobody there.
Whoa.
So for them, at least for my dad, he will go, okay, what did you hear? I will tell him I cannot understand. It's like a whisper, but it's far away, and I'm not sure. I keep trying to listen to it. So for them, because it is lack of mental health awareness and to understand this aspect of how the brain works or how the mental illness works with us as human, they will refer to the supernatural things, which is ghosts or spirits. So directly because of that, he will be like, all right, you're listening to demons now. Please go. He will call my mom. He will ask my mom to do sage. Of course, you know sage, like they will do the smoking around. We have something else. We call it Omani Liban. It comes from Oman. So we will do that around. That's our sage in our culture. And they will start reciting verses from the Quran. Or he will tell me, go and just listen to it. And stop playing video games, stop listening to music, and in that way.
Right.
So he will keep telling me that's messing your head, and that's why you're listening to people talking outside. So I will be like, okay, and I will move on with it. Sure. I got so used to it, thinking that when I start realizing, hearing it very clear, it's something similar to my voice, but a little bit different, with different demeanor, different type of words that I would never say myself. So it was confusing for me.
Yeah, I mean, can I ask, like, what? So, whether prior to having this understanding that it was similar to your voice, or after that realization, when you were hearing these voices, and you went to tell you ran to tell your father, was the feeling disconcerting? Like, was it scary? Or was it more confusing?
Yeah, it was scary and confusing because I still don't understand why I hear it like whispers.
Yeah. Okay.
And it started as whispers.
And as it went on over time, and you said that it sort of became more clear, and like what was the content of what you were hearing? Like what was the voice? What was the voice saying?
Well, from now I can tell you what I hear, and I do remember very, 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 very clear. But back then, it will be something like I demand an order or question, something random about things is not even there, about an animal or about a voice. It's I cannot tell you exactly how I heard it in that time, but it's always about the environment that I'm in.
And was it speaking
about me?
Sorry, continue. Sorry.
No, it will be something about me, or either about the surrounding that I'm in, either people or object or environment, something, at least in that time. But now it's a little bit different also.
Was it speaking to you? Like, you know how like when I think in my head, when I'm thinking and I hear my own voice in my own head, it doesn't feel like it's another part of me speaking to me. It's me speaking to myself.
Yeah.
And it's just me.
Like you're like projecting outwards.
Yes. But this voice that you're hearing, is it like a secondary person who's talking directly to and at you? Or is it just speaking out and you're just kind of like eavesdropping?
Exactly. Did you see what you just said? That you are talking to yourself and it is, you know that and you're talking inside? I still don't understand this.
Okay.
I still don't fathom what you just said, because to me I hear it, they are talking directly to me, and it's more than voice, more than 4, 5, 6, and a different way of saying things.
And while you're going, so I'm just trying to put myself in this situation, which oddly enough, I had a very similar sounding situation happen to me for the very first time ever, just like a week ago, but I have no idea what that was, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. But that's for another podcast. But I kind of vibe with what you're saying right now about hearing these like voices that don't seem to be yours, and it's kind of confusing. But I'm imagining if I was in your position and this was happening, concurrently and consistently over a space of time, I could imagine myself trying to experience or or investigate like whether or not I could respond to those voices, whether that's speaking outward or speaking internal. Have you ever tried to like communicate or speak back to these voices? And if so, is there any kind of, I don't know, response?
I think I got used to them to the point where when my father was, so anything that happens to me, odd, bizarre, weird, whatever, I will run to my father. And I'll ask him, this is happening to me. What is this? I just saw, or I just smelled. I smelled something. It's not even there. I'm trying to spray a perfume and it's not going. So anything weird will happen to me, I will go there. So, and about the voices, when I was listening to them, because I asked him, what is this? He will came to a realization it's not stopping. So I'm hearing it constantly. So he started telling me, this is your inner voice. This is something we have, because of our religion, we have something called qareen, which is doppelganger.
Right.
So he will tell me, this is your doppelganger. He's trying to talk to you. Don't respond. Don't listen to him. Don't act if he asks you to do something. In that way. So for me, I start becoming having this normal conversation, thinking that everybody is like this.
Right.
All of you like me, and I'm like you guys. I'm just experiencing life to understand. I'm just growing up. I was teenager back then, 12 and 13 and 14. I'm experiencing this. So I still don't understand. And I was not curious person at that time also, to find even more.
What age are we talking about here? And also for context, how old are you now?
I'm 34.
Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And at this point, when this was happening, when this first started happening, the early stages of this, you were quite young?
Yeah, I was almost 11.
Okay.
Because when I was 10 years old, something very, very dark happened. And this is because of the sessions that I went through with the therapy with my psychologist. She dug into my subconscious and she brought these memories out, which is I never knew that they exist in my head. So those memories, it's like they are cloudy. I cannot remember very clear of my age of 7, 8, 9, very clear. But those instants happened back then, which affected me the way, made me, I don't know, having these challenges.
Yeah.
Do you, in saying that, in your mind, do you think like, oh wow, there was this dark period of something that happened, and then this doppelganger voice was something that came out of that as like a piece of trauma, or do you think that was sort of always there?
All right. Now there's another part of this story. I think that played a role into it. I think. I'm not sure. I would love to think it in that way. Because we are here. Okay. I hope they don't get mad at me. Because here we are so into believing that anything that our eyes can't see, which is unseen, like ghosts and spirit, like black magic, voodoos, and all that stuff. So anything weird will happen that we will experience, we will just throw it on that. Right. Try to explain it, which is unexplainable.
Sure.
So my family believes in ghosts and demons so much to the point that they know anything weird happens is because of them.
Right.
And that's not because of our culture only or our religion only. No, it's all interconnected together. It's because of this. It's because of that. It's because of this.
Yeah.
And it's in our family. It's in my father's family, actually, not my mom's.
I'm curious, Adel, how it made you feel to, because they explain it this way by saying like, like it's the demon or it's a ghost or something like this. And it's almost like this, like as a kid, I imagine you feeling like, oh, there's this bad sort of negative energy around me. Like,
no, actually, no.
No.
I was not even thinking of it as a bad energy.
Well, how were you thinking of it?
I was thinking about I have a superpower.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Totally.
Yes.
Tell us about
I-
that, because that's not how I imagine I would think about it.
Yeah. So when I became very certain that okay, I am in this way. خلاص, everybody's like me. So bizarre situations start happening when I start going abroad. Okay, I'm from Dubai, so I studied in Abu Dhabi. That first experience that I went through with my friends, my roommates, they witnessed strange behavior from me that is very odd to them. So they had their distance away from me, not interacting with me, like being silly and joking around, nothing, because they looked at me like I'm possessed.
Yeah.
And that was when I was 17 years old. When they told me that story after 4 years when we were graduating. And I took that, went back to my father to explain it. I was so convinced that I was chosen and I have superpower.
Wow.
Nobody's like me.
Yeah.
I am special, actually. Not everyone is like me, can listen to ghosts and can smell them and can see them. And the fact that these different situation is happening to me made me the way I am today.
Like I think that that's an awesome way to think about it. And I also, so my therapist talks to me a lot about this like but versus and mentality. So it's like I say like I feel this way, but also this thing, and she's like, no, not but and also that thing. So you can feel both ways at once. And like I really appreciate. I think that perspective that you have is awesome. I wonder about like your family, doing the saging of you and your friends saying like, oh, Adel, you're possessed. Did you feel like that was like they were accepting of it in the same way that you were, or did you feel, otherwise that they maybe weren't as accepting of it?
My friends were accepting of it, but they were kind of protecting me also.
Sure.
That's what I felt with my friend when I was studying in Abu Dhabi. And it was in ADNOC Technical Institute. I graduated from ADNOC Technical Institute, awesome. And I went working in ADNOC.
Cool.
So yeah, they were around me and they were similar to me also, but they're having their own way of thinking. But they never, after that, they never told me, or they never made me think of myself that I'm very weird, the way how I felt at home with my family. Because my family looked at me, I'm possessed as well.
Yeah.
Is that so that it sounds like this experience when you go to study is kind of, one of the first times that you are maybe looking at your experience through a different lens because you're getting this perspective from your friends. And it sounds like they're quite accepting of the way that you are behaving or the things that you're experiencing. Like in the broader sense, outside of your family, outside of your friends, in the broader sense of how mental health is viewed in the UAE, or maybe the Middle East more broadly, but the UAE for sure, obviously. How is mental health viewed, and how has it changed throughout your life?
Well, for the past few years, if I will say, it's heaven and earth. It's heaven and earth for me. I don't know if I have the words to tell you or to describe how it has shifted the way how I saw myself back then, and I lived my life and went through divorce and after divorce and all the challenges that I faced until I reached to the point where I met my I always call her my hero, which is the last doctor who diagnosed me properly to know what's wrong with me.
No, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm listening to you.
When did the things that you were experiencing and these voices that you're hearing in your mind, when did they first start to present problems? When did they first start to present an issue where you thought that you needed to seek help, that you needed to dig deeper and find out, what was going on more objectively?
Okay, I've never thought I need to go and seek help, actually, because I was not even considering that I am sick at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I had a stroke in 2020, which led me to go and check what's wrong with me, why I had stroke in this age. I was 30 years old. I was driving. I had a sudden set of numbness, weaknesses, very short breathtaking. I can't, like, the tip of my fingers are, like numbness, and on my left. So when all that happened, I even acted like I was just driving few seconds away from the main gate. I was driving and I stopped the car, barely crawled from the car, went, and my mom saw me and she started, she doesn't know how stroke look like. So she started reciting Quran above my head because she thinks I was possessed, probably. And that time, I'm not sure what was going on in her head. So I was forced to be hospitalized to do a full checkup why I had that stroke, to understand the neurological issue behind it. They did not find anything that explains what I had.
Yeah.
They did full checkup. They did the gascopy, endoscopy. They did the blood testing. I don't know the terminology of that liquid thing that they put in your vein to go through your brain and scan it through MRI and all that. They did all sort of checkup just to understand why I had the stroke. They did find two things different than the average people, which is my heartbeat and the way of my brain is shaped. At the same time, they said, this is normal for your body. This is how you are. Your brain shaped in this way because you were born with it. There's nothing wrong with your brain. But yet still doesn't explain why you had the stroke. So please, there is one angle, or there's one place that we did not check, which is psychiatrist. And I asked the doctor, he was, his name is Umar. He said, I told him, what is psychiatrist? He said, basically, we call our hospitals here for crazy people hospital, we call it Amal Hospital, which is Hope Hospital. So he said, basically go to Amal Hospital and check with them. When I heard Amal Hospital, I'm like, no way. No way. I'm not going to a crazy people hospital.
Yeah.
That is drug addict, that is alcoholic people goes there, there's criminals goes there, whatever, rehab, all that. Why am I going there? Hell no. And actually at that time when he was telling me that, I was hearing my own voices.
Is that what the voices were saying? They were like,
tell him no.
Yeah, exactly. So this is how it is.
Wow.
It's racing. So I'm jumping all over places. Like I'm fighting my own voices, like to say, not to say, run away, just let him shut up, or all these things. The moment he was like, okay, what do you think? I'm like, okay, please give me my reports. He gave it to me and I ran away.
wow.
I did not check nothing for 2 months. And then after those 2 months, I was like, I'm scared if the stroke comes back again, I'm gonna die.
Yeah. And is that the thing that it gave you the sort of courage to go?
Go not to the Amal Hospital.
Fuck that. We ain't ever going there. Yeah.
Because while I was so convinced, if I go there, the people who reads my mind, they will know that I went there and they will shame me for it.
Yes, right.
So I'm like, no, I'm not going there. They will know that I went there, but I will look for something similar, private clinic, whatever, but not government. No, not that name.
Okay.
Something similar that they know what's wrong with me. Plus, I will go there just to reassure myself that I don't need these people because the doctor told me.
And where did you end up going after those 2 months?
Just right before you answer that, I just wanted to know that, like, if you went to this hospital that you don't want to go to, would that be something that you would be afraid that, like, if the general public or an employer or somebody knew that you had gone there, that you would be worried, like, oh, this person won't hire me, these people will think all these things. Yeah, okay.
Definitely.
But there was also
that is even the second thought.
Yes, right. Because there was also the fact that the voices would know.
Right. Yeah.
And the voices, you know, whatever those entities are gonna give you shit for going.
Exactly. That's the very first. I will not go there because I will not live normal. I will be like, why did you get? Oh, you went there. Now they know. They will do this to you. I will be so. It's not even scared, but I will be in a very dark place. That's the only
they just
thing
wouldn't
I
shut the fuck up, and now that's all you got to listen to all day. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that either.
It's just it's as constant, and any small tiny thing will trigger me, and I will be explosive.
Yeah.
In a way, when you decided to look for a private clinic, did you almost feel like, oh, I'm tricking the voices too? Like I kind of have this intent and they're not going to know.
Yes. And I was going there and I cannot fool my own self and my own voices. But at the same time, when I went there, I was like, I'm trying to tell myself, okay, I will tell them that, please, this is my reports, read it. Nothing wrong with me. Please give me some other report that proves I'm a normal person.
Yes.
So I can go to that doctor and tell him, see, I went to the psychiatrist. They said nothing wrong with me there. So you guys, I think you're not professional enough to know what's wrong with me. I swear, I was so convinced in these thoughts or in these voices and in the way that I was carrying myself into this. The moment I got there, they read my reports and they did their assessment. I never came back.
They're like, you're here now. You're here forever now.
Yeah. And I have the most privilege that I end up actually meeting my doctor, and I'm now here with you guys.
So what was that? So what was that experience like? What was so kind of special and positive about that experience of going to that clinic?
The positive things that I found, the best psychologist who knew how to I don't want to say to trick me, but to make me talk. I thought I'm a talkative person. I thought I am an expressive person. Turned out no. she made me talk in a way that I never heard myself talk in this way, and say things that I will hear my voices says. And the very odd thing that when I was sitting there, my voices were whispering again. I cannot hear them clearly.
So like they were coming, like they were like lowering the volume.
Yeah, for the lowering the volume, exactly. Yes.
And I'm curious about that. Like, thinking back to that now, can you pinpoint like what it was? Because I'm imagining a psychiatrist, like, someone who's trained and like understands, maybe the science or the mechanics of what's happening. That's one thing, but I imagine it's really like for you, especially in this situation, it's really about how they, like, the relationship and how they establish that relationship. Like, what was it about? Can you pinpoint what it was about this person that like made you feel comfortable?
For me, at least, yeah, for me to open up to her, she will never say, okay, how can I help you today? Or what do you want to talk about today? No, she will be like, did you eat today? Something totally different every single time, not the same questions, not the same, like I never felt like she had a checklist that she needs to tick with me. Never, never made me feel it in this way, or made me look at her in that way. She will always come up with a question like something about me, and then, or something, what did I do today, or what happened while I was coming here.
So just getting you into a place where like you're talking and feeling comfortable, and then that sort of leads into one thing leads into another.
Exactly, yeah. One reason to another or another, and it just, she drags me into this maze of question.
and now that was, that started, I guess it sounds like 3 or 4 years ago that you started down that path after your stroke.
Yes.
How long did it take to come around? Like as we've been having this conversation, I've been kind of struck with the idea that from my perspective as the listener listening to your experience, the name of what you have, the name of the thing that you are diagnosed with actually doesn't really matter that much. Like to me as the listener, it's like just hearing your experience and like the things that you thought and the things that you learned and the way that you learned them, like that's really the important thing. But at the same time, there's a part of my brain that's like, but what is it? And so like, how long did it take for you to get to a place where somebody felt like they could tell you, okay, we think we can put a name to what you've been experiencing since you were, very young?
It was at the very beginning in that clinic, actually. They said you have a possible of schizoaffective disorder. They said possible, but then they said you probably have also a person, I forgot the name of it, temporal something. I forgot. I'm sorry.
No, it's
There's
okay.
there is another diagnosis that the psychologist gave it a name to it, and I start researching and learning. I'm like, I'm not this, but this is something different, and I'm experiencing something else. But it's okay. They know better. Probably I'm different than the other whatever I'm reading here online on articles and people whatever they are experiencing. And I had a relapse because when they finally prescribed a prescription for me, my medication, and I started taking it, the voices came back again. My visual hallucination or visual disturbance started to become lower, but the smell and the voices was still there. And they were saying, okay, now you're on meds. Now you know how to control yourself. You don't need the meds. We will work together to help each other. So you don't need these meds. You read about them. You know what they do to your body.
Right.
What they're going to do to your liver, what they're going to do to your blood, and all that stuff. We need to stop. And I did stop. And that was the worst decision that I made in my life.
Oh, wow.
Stopping the medication.
Because it just
Yes.
came back full force.
Without going back to my doctor or tell her I want to
Right.
stop. Nothing. I just did it myself.
Right.
And what happened?
Don't even ask what happened. All the darkness came back.
Yeah.
Everything. The very ever worst experience. Physical, mental, everything. I collapsed, and they took me to the ML hospital, and I went there, and then that's where I took myself. Actually, I say it took me because it's not me. I don't know how to explain this, but I went there, and then she started giving me injections. Another doctor there, psychiatrist, she gave me injection. And I was on that injection. That injection was the worst injection that I ever took also. That did not made me, I would say, functional.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you, you mentioned that there was the smells and there's the voices and there was also the visual aspects. What were the visual sort of hallucinations and distortions that were coming with these experiences that you were having on a typical basis?
The visual would not come as much as the voices or the smell. So the first thing so if I will prioritize them or I will put them into a higher to lower, I will say voices, then smelling, then the lower one, which occurs based on different triggers in my environment that I don't understand it until today, will be something like I will see the first thing that I saw, the very old man and the very old lady. The very old lady that I saw, my father will refer to her as my grandma. That's your grandma, because she deals with, like all that spiritual things. And then the old man that I saw is because when I went there, something happened, a situation happened. I went out, I was driving, and I was so mad to the point that I did not know where I'm going actually. So I passed through a signal and I saw an old man standing there. And I went back all the way to just ask him to offer help. Like, it's very late night. Why are you stopping here? And I stopped my car and asked him, do you want me to drop you somewhere? He said, Al-Ain. So I thought, like, okay, probably he doesn't know how to talk. Okay, I told him, all right, come on. And he sat. He sat in the car and I started driving all the way to Al-Ain.
Like 2 hours.
Okay. Yeah, yes. And I went all the way there. He wanted to go to Al-Bremi Gate. Al-Bremi, so to enter Oman from Al-Bremi Gate, which is the closest way to go through Al-Ain city. So I went all the way there. And he never looked at me in my face. We never had no conversation, nothing. He was just sitting there.
Oh, wow.
So we went all the way there. And to me, I think I was listening to music, anything. So I was just driving. I reached there. I did not even stop by asking him, do you want me to stop here or there? No, he just like pointed by his hand, stop, like he did, like stop here. And I stopped. And when I looked on my left, it was the gate, the Bremi Gate. I understand he wanted to be here. I stopped. He got out. And I started driving. I noticed there was a paper on the seat. He left it there probably. I did not even look at it very, 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 very close. So I said, okay, I saw him in the mirror, the rear mirror. I saw him, he crossing the street. So I said, before he reaches the gate, let me go quickly and come back from the roundabout. When I came back, nobody's there. I stopped. I said, well, how fast is he? He's an old man. How did he reach there? I stopped the car and I went out and I started walking. Where is he? And I'm holding this paper. And I went to the gate where the security guard there and asked him, did you guys see, where did the old man came? He said, what old man? There is nobody here.
Whoa.
And I was just standing right there and I'm looking at the paper in my hand. That was an empty paper. Nothing there. No writing, nothing. I told him, okay, I'm sorry. I went back. I was the whole drive away back home confused.
Yeah. I mean,
I bet.
when you found the paper, did you note it? What was the paper blank in your mind?
Blank, nothing. No, the paper in my hand.
Yeah. Like, was it blank in your hand when you found it in the car, or
it was blank.
It was.
I think it was blank,
Yeah,
but I did not notice it was blank.
Wow.
And were you thinking to like, did you like when you got back in the car and you started to drive home? Were you thinking?
I didn't drive. I stopped there for at least 10 to 20 minutes. I started calling my cousin. I wanted to talk to somebody, but it was very late night.
Yeah.
And I called even my dad, but it's because something happened at home, so I did not call him. And I'm like, all right, I'm on my own. Let me start talking to myself, my inner demon, whatever. Let me have this conversation. What happened now?
Wow.
And was there any part of, you know, the you part of you that was saying, did none of that just happen?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was so confused between it did not happen, but I know for a fact I saw his face. I still till today I remember the details of his face and his expression, his beard, the way he looked at me and the way he sat in the car, everything.
As real as it could be.
But then again, you think back and it's like there's all these weird elements to it, like him not really talking to you or looking at you, and you know,
exactly.
just like the quiet. It is there's something very unsettling. I mean, okay, so obviously when people hear something like this, they're going to think, oh, that sounds like a horror movie. That sounds very scary. But I am curious, you know, with something that you've been experiencing for so long, something that becomes so familiar, and you know, you find this doctor who helps you, and you start to the voices start to go away. Was there any element of that where you felt as though you were missing something, or like, you know, at any point throughout this experience since you were 11, did you ever feel like the voices that you were carrying with you were helpful or aiding you in any way, or giving you guidance that like maybe you wouldn't have otherwise? And if so, like, was there a part of that where you felt like maybe when they kind of got quiet that you missed it a little bit?
Yeah, it happens from time to time where I was driving myself a force from them when I'm angry. So they fuel me, they feed me that, and that comes and that feeds and fuel my rage so much. And then when some situation that I'm so used to be explosive about it, and I'm not that, so it gives me the sense of I miss how I used to be so explosive, because of the voices. But I'm not supposed to be like that, So that's I'm still trying to tackle that in myself until today.
When I asked before about, you know, when was the time where you felt like it was necessary to seek help, and you said, no, I actually didn't. I had a stroke, and that was the beginning of the dominoes that would fall, that would lead me to seeing a psychologist. In hindsight, looking back, how did your experience, how did it impact your life looking back, and like relationships or your education,
business,
or whatever, how did it impact your day-to-day looking back, knowing now that, you know, you've been able to put this diagnosis to your experience?
Yeah, wow. To look back, I would be in a very better place if I had known this at very early stage. If I had enough education or enough awareness about it, I would not struggle at school. I failed twice at school. And that is because of my mental health issue. Because of the voices, because of the smell that I used to get so irritated when I have the sudden, very, very, very bad smell that I cannot describe it like. It smells like a rotten egg.
Oh yeah.
And I became so used to it that is my own smell, but I don't know what caused it. So that will irritate me and will make me behave in a different way with the people around me at school. I will have fight at school. I will not be very cooperative with the teachers and all that. Until up to relationships as well. I would love to go back and fix so many things to make them in a very righteous way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What would you say? I'm going to ask you a question that we typically ask most of our guests. No, go ahead.
Hold on for a second. I think the mic,
Oh, can you
something happened? I cannot hear you guys. I don't know why.
Check.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, there you go. Okay, sweet. Wow. I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you a question that we typically ask most of our guests, and it's a 2-part question. Yeah. What would you say is the biggest thing that your struggle with your mental illness has taken away from you?
The people that I love. That's the thing that I can say that took it away.
Mm. Yeah, and when you say that, like, who are you referring to?
My mom, my family, my brothers, my sisters, the one that I initially proposed to marry, and then that did not work. And then when I went to the second marriage, that did not work also, because she had to live with me, in a room. Like, nobody lived with me in one place, and so the thing that she saw and experienced with me since I was 16 years old up all the way when I was 25.
And
that.
And like your family, like your mother and your brothers and your sister, like, are you guys, did this kind of tear you apart from your family? Are they no longer as much in your life as they used to be?
There are so many how do I say, factors that plays into it that made it in this way, not just only my mental health also.
Sure.
Is because the way I studied in Abu Dhabi, so I was too far away from them, and then the way I was working a month and all that. But I would say yes, in a way, is because I always want to protect them from me, because of the things that is occurring from me without even knowing that it's happening.
Right. What would you say is the biggest thing that your struggle with mental health has given you?
Given me? Realization. And being aware of myself first before anything around me. It gave me awareness, self-awareness, and a very self-realization of my surrounding.
We didn't touch on this during the conversation, but I think it's worth mentioning that Adel was named the first mental health hero in the UAE, and has become a mental health advocate after winning the award by Mental 2023. Mental is an organization in the UAE that is trying to advocate for mental health awareness over there, and you were awarded this award for overcoming barriers. And it's very clear, through this conversation right now, like you've been through so much, and for us to have this privilege to sit down and speak to someone like yourself who is just so well spoken and so generous and you know, I mean, you are. I'm so stoked that you are on the path that you're on, and that you are such a like shining light for doing what you do in terms of being vulnerable and courageous and willing to speak out and support the work that needs to be done in order to spread awareness around mental health. I mean, it's just like, this is one of the best parts about doing this podcast, is being able to meet and speak to incredible people like yourself. And I thank you so much, Adel, for being on the podcast today. This has been such a delight. You really are you're amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you so much for all the kind words that I said. It's the privilege all mine, and it's very honoring for me to sit with incredible people like you guys and have this conversation to raise the awareness, because what I went through, if this is me, what I went through, and I see it something that I'm not trying to lower it down, but what about the people that it's not even speaking about?
Yeah,
totally. What they are experiencing, what they are going through.
Yeah,
like all the they call it home domestic violence, and all the abuse, and all the the rape things, and all that things that we're not even aware of it enough.
Yeah. I like I said, we've been doing this for almost a decade, and I live with cystic fibrosis. The whole name of the podcast, Sick Boy Podcast, came from the fact that I have CF. And when I was going to school, I had a kid call me Disease Boy. And Disease Boy doesn't roll off the tongue as well as Sick Boy does, so we just stuck with Sick Boy as the name. But I'll tell you right now, if you ever start a podcast, dude, Possessed Boy is a sick name for a podcast. That's pretty good. That sounds good.
It does, yeah. It's way cooler than Sick Boy too.
That's it, yeah. So if you ever go down that road.
Yeah, well, in English sounds cool, but in Arabic, no.
What would it sound like in Arabic? What is Possessed Boy in Arabic?
And like maskoon. Maskoon means like they're living in you. Like literal translation is living inside of you, like possessed. So possessed sounds a little bit nice.
It sounds metal. It sounds pretty cool. Well, salam alaikum, man. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. This was really cool.
It's a pleasure of mine, man.
Thank you so much.
It's an honor.
Well, Adel is just the sweetest.
Just the sweetest.
And I love that guy, and I hope I get to visit the UAE one time and shake that man's hand.
You know,
high five.
We've had an opportunity to speak with a few people in the UAE.
Yeah.
And then also connected to people now that came off the back of talking with those people in the UAE. And they've all been just incredible.
Every single
conversations.
One. Yeah, there's a few, and this will be the first one that you're going to hear. In the pipeline, we have a couple more conversations that have been just wonderful and so nice. You know, it's always nice to talk to folks over here on the western side of the world, from the U.S. and from Canada. But it's just, it's nice to get other perspectives from other countries, and Adel, I mean, just what a perfect guest. So
totally. And so before we dive into the rest of this episode's content, we should just put it out there right now. If you're listening and you're from somewhere else in the world,
who gives a fuck where you're from? Come on the show.
You want to come on the show and share your story?
You from Finland? You know?
Yeah.
Do you have some revolutionary story about saunas?
Yeah.
Like, let us know. We want to talk about it.
Yeah, you got all burnt up in a sauna or something?
Yeah.
So we were talking about the voices in Adel's brain, and I thought, let's keep that train running, but a little bit different. Maybe not so much a voice in the brain, but it potentially could have turned into one. Do you guys remember, if I say the word fetus in fetu, do you remember what that refers to?
I remember the
Evil
term,
Dead?
But I don't remember.
It's kind of like Evil Dead, yeah. Fucking, it's a horror. It's a horror movie for real.
Oh, was it? It was the guy.
Ratu.
Was it the guy who had the baby?
Oh,
like the twin brother.
The guy from India who
Fetus
had
in fetu.
Yeah,
gigantic.
It's
stomach.
also known as parasitic twin.
Yes.
So there has been a case that I came across, a very
from India or
extremely rare case of fetus in fetu from back in 2022. In an extremely rare case, doctors surgically removed a fetus from the brain of a 1-year-old child.
Oh, my Lord.
Doctors found the fetus after the child showed delayed motor skill development, an enlarged head circumference, and a buildup of fluid in the brain. The report, published in December of 2022 in the journal Neurology, noted that the mass in the young child's head was malformed monochorionic diamniotic twin, which basically means the fetus was blasted in there while in the womb.
Fetus in fetu in the noggin.
That's it. So, meaning in the womb, the fetuses had once shared the same placenta, but had separate amniotic sacs, the thin-walled, liquid-filled sacs that surround fetuses as they develop. These types of twins come from the same fertilized egg, meaning they are identical. So they are real twins.
Real twins.
Real twins that didn't quite bake properly. The anomaly in which one fetus becomes enveloped by another is known as
fetus in fetu.
There you go. Or
parasitic twin.
Nice. The absorbed twin typically stops developing while the other continues to grow. The phenomenon occurs in an estimated 1 in 500,000 live births.
Wow.
Now that seems
very
a lot less rare than I would have guessed.
Yeah, not that high.
Yeah.
I mean, like very rare.
Totally.
But
yeah,
not
it's very rare.
Very rare. But yeah, I was thinking like 1 in 2 million.
Yeah,
you know?
me
like,
too. Yeah.
Usually the malformed fetus appears as a mass in the other fetus's abdomen, wedged behind the tissue that lined the abdominal wall. However, in this case, the mass appeared in the host fetus's head and likely arose very, very early in development at the stage when the fertilized egg forms a cluster of cells called blastocyst. That's a sick fucking
Cool.
band name.
Blastocyst. Familiar
Yeah.
with the blastocyst.
Or Pokemon.
Gotta catch them all. Unfortunately, he didn't have a ball to catch it. He just swallowed it up into his little noggin. The intracranial fetus in fetu is proposed to arise from unseparated blastocysts, meaning the cell clusters that were designed to grow into two separate fetuses stayed stuck together, the case report authors wrote. Quote, the conjoined parts developed into the forebrain of host fetus and enveloped the other embryo during neural plate folding. The neural plate is the structure that forms in early development and gives rise to the nervous system. Intracranial fetus in fetu is extremely rare with less than... Actually, how many reports do you think worldwide have
intracranial?
Yeah, like fetus and fetu in the brain.
So fetus and fetu is 1 in 500,000, and happening in the brain, I guess 1 in 20 of those. So I'd say, what's that fraction work going to be, like 1 in 10 million?
So how many reports total
Okay.
across the world, across history? Less than
40. Less than 40.
Okay, it is less than 40, but that's not the number I'm looking for.
I'm going to say it's like 3 cases ever.
Less than 20 reports published worldwide.
Okay.
Brain scans of the 1-year-old child's head revealed that the fetus contained a vertebral column and 2 leg bones, the femur and tibia.
Whoa.
And that the malformed fetus had spina bifida, a condition in which part of the spinal cord is exposed rather than covered by tissues on the back. That's fucking wild that they were even like, and also it has a disease. Like it has spina bifida. Due to a problem during development, it developed the spina bifida. And once removed, the fetal mass was also determined to have upper limb and finger-like buds. Ooh.
Wow.
The brief case report does not include the details of the 1-year-old's condition following surgery, so we don't really know how that ended up. But I thought it was interesting so I asked ChatGPT, I said, what are some of the most famous fetus and fetu cases? And it gave me a list of about 6. So one is Sanju Bhagat in India in 1999.
Is that the one that we covered?
One of the most famous cases. So Sanju Bhagat was a 36-year-old man, and after having some abdominal pain and breathing struggles, they found a mass that turned out to be his twin, complete with limbs, hair, and a jaw in his belly. That one, I mean, that's probably one of the most gnarly ones. Another one from Bangladesh. There's quite a few from India, actually. Alam Khan, a 6-month-old baby, who was found to have a partially developed fetus inside his abdomen. A lot of them are in the abdomen. Here's a really interesting one. Ganja and Jamuna Mondal from India as well, 2009. These conjoined twins from India had a parasitic twin that was only partially formed, attached to their bodies. The parasitic twin had no functioning organs, but had limbs and some features. So they would conjoined twins conjoined triplets, really.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a parasitic
conjoined
triplet.
Twins 0.5.
Yeah.
Or probably 0.003. There's quite a few, and then a few pretty famous ones from China as well. Just fucking wild, right? Like, just to think, imagine being like a 30-year-old and just going, yeah, I was when I was 1, they pulled my twin out of my
honestly,
head.
like after going through IVF and like knowing, like having the kind of like inside look at like all the things that have to go right for a pregnancy to happen, and then for somebody to be born and for there to be like nothing wrong.
Yeah.
It's alien. It is crazy that there's ever anybody born without some monumental issue.
Yeah.
Because it's just like there's a million forks in the road where things could go wrong and something could happen that, could end up in obviously a trillion different.
It makes me think of that unbelievably fun horror movie, Malignant. And which is why I thought about Adel. I was like, I know that this isn't the case, but you never know. Maybe Adel has a fetus in V2 and it's in his brain and it's going, dude, let me tell you what to do. Let me give you some advice.
I don't think
he does either. I think it's probably not.
Jared just likes horror movies.
But,
I know.
But that is, that's a script right there. So Adel, if you're into writing, maybe fudge the numbers.
It could be called My Parasitic Twin.
That's it. Yeah.
That sounds like a reality TV show.
Do a whole what was that, Million Little Pieces or whatever, that book that was total bullshit that Oprah was all about?
Oh, actually?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was total bullshit. I think it was
enough
like
bullshit that Oprah was very upset.
Yeah, it was like a 75% true story and a 25% embellishment.
And Adel could do it.
Like
Stay away from Oprah because like she'll chew you out. Adel could do it, and 75% truth is that
I'm totally talking about my ass now. Now I want to go back and actually look at that because I remember I read that book a long time ago, and I'm remembering that it was like mostly true but embellished in these certain areas or whatever. But anyway,
isn't that just good storytelling?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like.
But
isn't that why they say based on a true story?
Well, that's what movies do. This guy did not say it was based on a true story.
Yeah, this guy was like 100% true.
He said, "This is my biography.
It's my memoir." Yeah. Anyway, Adel, fucking do it, dude. I don't think I've ever watched a UAE horror movie, so I would love to see that.
There's a great art scene in the UAE.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for listening. And hey, if you want to support the podcast, give the podcast a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and tell somebody you love about the show. Word of mouth, it's great. It's a great way for more people to listen and tune into these conversations that can be very profound and life-changing for some folks. So it would mean the world to us if you did that.
And if you want to be a guest on the show, you can go to sickboypodcast.com and fill out the guest form. Or if you want to just write in and argue Brian about fraternal twins being
fake twins.
They are. If you want to argue that point with Brian, then
it would be
that's his stance.
You get a pretty short email back. I just Donald Trump them.
You just say fake news.
You're wrong. And thank you to Jeff Lonis, our manager. We love you very much. Also, I just want to say, piggybacking on what Jared was saying about telling someone you love about the show, tell someone from another country. Like we want this little show here from Canada to spread like the COVID-19 pandemic around the world.
Maybe a little faster.
Yeah.
So if you can help spread it to another country,
like we concocted in this little lab right here, and we're looking for a little lab leak, if you want, if you will,
the little snack labs leak.
Yeah.
That is it for this week.
I'm Brian.
I'm Taylor.
And I'm Jeremy, and this is Sick Boy.